Hi there. Today we're going to look at a quick video on how to create a picture quote, something that I've been really getting into recently. First of all, you're going to need some content. You can get your own quote or go to a couple of these sites to get some pretty amazing quotes, or just use good old Google to search for quote followed by whatever keyword you're looking under, for example, quote space productivity. Then you go and get a matching picture. You might already have an image that you have taken yourself. I tend to use Stock Exchange or Fotolia. You can find them at these URLs. Now that you've got your quote and you have your image to go with it, we're going to need some tooling. I'm going to give you examples on how to do this on two different tools. One is called Skitch. It's a free download that sits on your desktop. It's available for mobile, it's available for Mac, it's available for Windows. Really cool little piece of software. Or if you're not really interested in downloading anything, you can use pixlr.com and I will show you how to do that. Okay, so to start making the picture quote, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the picture in. You could do one of two things. You can click here and say open and pull it out, or the one that I prefer to do is to simply open my file explorer and just drag in the image that I want right into the middle of the screen there. There we have it. Isn't that awesome? Now, a couple of things that I want to bring to your attention here. This image is a bit big. For Facebook, what I need it to be is around 300 by 200 and a bit pixels. Actually, the length doesn't matter so much, but the width must be around the 300 mark. And the second thing I want to think about is if I want to keep the entire thing or just parts of it. So if I want to actually crop it, I go right on the edge of the picture, and I can then choose to drag it in and crop it somewhat, okay, or not, leave it as it is. And once I've decided the parts of the image that I want to keep, say this is what I wanted to keep, I use the outer part to then resize it. As you move that, you will see that the sizing here also changes. The other way that you can very quickly resize it to the size that you want is to simply click on that resize button there. And here I'm going to say I want it to be 300 wide. And then because I'm saying constraint proportions, it will scale it appropriately. And I say OK. And there you go. My picture is ready to go on the right dimensions that I want for Facebook. The next piece that I'm going to do is to add the text from the quote. And to do that, I click on the A, which indicates that I want to use some text. I position the cursor where I want to place the text, and then I simply key in the actual text. The greatest pleasure in life is doing what people say you cannot do. That's my quote. Now, once I've done the quote, what I can do is move that text box around. I can change the size of my font using that little dialer, and I can change the actual font itself by clicking on the font button, which brings up a little dialog that has the various fonts. I'm using this Museo slab, but you could change that in any which way that you wish. I'll go back to the one that I like, right? And once you've done that, you can just close that dialog, and there is your thing all ready to go. Now, to save it, this is a very cool part, you can simply put in the name of the image. From here, you can choose whether you want to save it as a JPEG or a transparent image, SVG, etc., etc. We'll leave it at JPEG. And then, of course, you could also go from there and say save as, and then choose where you want to save it. But what I really love is this drag me thing. You can just take it and you can drag it directly to the folder where you want this saved. And that's it, all done. Now let's take a look at the second method of doing this, assuming you don't really want to download anything at all. So what I've done here is I've gone to pixlr.com. This is the start page. I'm going to go to Pixlr Express, which is actually their new one. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to browse to pull up the picture that we need. I'm going to click on Browse and simply choose the image that we were working through earlier. So here's my image. Now, as you can see, you can do adjustments, effects, overlays, etc., etc. I'm not going to do any of those things. The first thing I want to do is to take a look at the size. So under adjustments, I'm going to click on crop, and I'll just get rid of a little bit of the rocks underneath like we did in the earlier example, and that's it. I'm done. I click apply. How easy was that? So the next thing that I want to do is to size this so that it fits into my Facebook timeline nicely. So to do that, I choose my resize, and I will simply tell it to make it 300 pixels wide, and as you can see, it automatically adjusts the height because I've got the keep proportions turned on. I apply. Now it's kind of made it a little bit small. I can't see very well, so blind as a bat and all of that. So I'm just going to increase this so I can work with it a little bit better. There we go. And finally, I want to add my quote. So I'm going to click on text. I can choose the different types of fonts. So you've got the dotted ones, grunge, handwritten, novelty, retro, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go for the serif type of fonts. And even within here, you can choose the actual font. That was just the font group. I'm going to pick this guy here. And once I've selected my font, I can also select my color by clicking on color. We're just going to make it black. All right. And now I'll go ahead and type my quote. The greatest, maybe I'll go down here. The greatest pleasure in life is doing what people, let me just get rid of this so I can see what I'm doing, say you cannot do. Now once I've typed it, what I can do is to move this by just clicking on the box and dragging it. I can make it a little bit smaller, and isn't that amazing that automatically resizes the font for you? I'm going to center it because that looks a little bit better, and I'll just bring this down here, maybe make it a little bit bigger, and I'm done. You could also take this and tilt it around and that sort of thing. How simple was that? And now that I'm finished, I'll say apply for the text to apply, and I'm done. All I need to do now is say save. It's going to ask me what to call it. I will call this my fab quote. If I don't say the type, it will automatically choose it to be a JPEG, but I can just add .jpg here, tell it that I want absolute 100% quality, and I just go ahead and save. And that's it, I'm done. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to come visit me at moonpreneur.net.